Edition 1 of the Orkney Island news has just landed. There is work set to begin in the South Orkney Islands. This will involve areas that have not been touched as of yet. There is a boat service from Braeswick to Whitehall proposed. Locals have noticed docks appearing by the side of the towns. Once again, more increased capacity has been added to many of the bus routes as well as the cargo routes. Finally, the new boat services from Bruneian to Egglesey and Bruneian to Wyre are booming. They are full at the seams. Did you also know that the shortest commercial flight in the world goes from Westray to Papa Westray? This is located in the north of the Orkney Islands. So there we have something quite different. I want to try and provide my summaries in a different way, and this I feel is a great way of just having like a newspaper, summarise everything, and you can also get a teaser to what I'm going to be doing in this episode as well, which we will get onto in a second. Having this format really varies things up, and I'm not going to do it every single episode, but I do think it is a nice change from how I've been doing my summaries beforehand, which do seem to be going down really well. A massive shout out to Ethmeister, you know who you are. He's basically been commenting on my videos recently, going ahead and providing a brief summary, and I've sort of taken that idea and expanded on it, so thank you to him. Also a big shout out to Nelly Boy for the fun fact about the shortest commercial air route in the world. If you've got any more facts, and this is open to anyone, then please leave them down in the comment section below. Before we get into today's time lapse, I just want to say again a massive thank you to everyone really for all their support so far. Like ratings are doing amazing and they really help the channel and the videos out, so please go ahead and keep liking. Again, give me feedback. You can see that I'm incorporating it into videos. Sometimes I do videos in advance, so I do apologise if my feedback doesn't get integrated into the next episode you see. However, I am trying my hardest. But with that said, I think it's time we get on to some time lapse action. So we begin today's time-lapse in the town of Braeswick, and as you can see I'm modifying the bus route. The reason for this is because we are really growing quite rapidly, and it is time that we go and adapt the bus routes. The towns are growing at an alarming rate. I'm not really at all sure why. I think the bus routes do have something to do with it, but a lot of towns aren't really covered very well, and instead of me actually doing this in a live gameplay, it's probably me better going ahead and editing this in a time-lapse and just compressing it down. Braeswick is probably doubled in size already. It's not getting any industry yet, that is something which we will consider, though I am going to go ahead and jump down to the South Orkney Islands mainly in this episode, though there is a few other things that we will address. I think it is really important that we keep updating these towns and make sure they don't get too out of date. Eventually we might see a train between Braeswick and Kettletoft, however that's not going to be until the demand is really exceeding our buses. I do feel that in between Surin and Bruneian that we are getting quite close to that already, to be honest, but we'll have to wait and see really what buses we unlock because I'm a bit limited right now. Anyway, we jump over to Whitehall and then we jump over and really just see the demand for goods, and there's always been this demand for goods. We do go ahead and add some more buses onto both of our bus routes on this island though. We then go ahead and start to look at, and the real issue with our goods is the vehicles. The vehicles have such a small capacity, only of 6. These DMG carts, they're really not big enough at all, so I go ahead and add on like an extra 10 of those out onto the roads to really go ahead and make the roads pretty busy. I don't really think we need to do too much more upgrading there though until we start exporting our oil and our fuel, which that's going to take quite a while to do because I don't really have a lot of money for cargo boats right now, plus we've not actually connected up those islands yet even by passengers, and that would probably be my first port of call. Anyway, back in the town of Bruneian, this is the town which it is sort of our capital city. It was the first city we really built in along with Surin, but it's also got the dock connection now over to Wyre. I've been pronouncing it Weir, but I've now been corrected, it is Wyre, and it's also got the connection over to Egglesey as well, so essentially it is our capital right now. I do expect some cities on the mainland, like when we do touchdown in Kirkwall and Stromness. I do reckon that those towns will become probably the most busiest as they are in real life, and they're already quite big to start off with. This will just be because they'll both probably have airports, they'll both have large docks connecting up to the outer islands, and they'll be connected to other towns by trains on the mainland as well, so it will be interesting to see. I then go ahead and jump over to Island of Wyre, do a few upgrades. Egglesey, I just add some more buses in. as well. And that really wraps that off, to be honest. It's mainly just capacity increases which I really need to do, and that is them done and out the way. I then finally go ahead and start placing some docks because, as we said in the Orkney news, we're going to connect up Braeswick with Whitehall. It's quite a logical one, they're not too far apart, they've also got their own island populations, and I think it's time that they can start to grow now, so I go ahead and do that. At some expense, to be fair, but it is something which we will go ahead and surely make back now that we've got a lot of demand on both islands. The year is 1911. Welcome to today's live gameplay. A wee bit of time has passed since the end of the time lapse. We are doing not too bad financially. The bad thing is though, we are up now to a loan of basically 10 million, so that is a bummer. But to go ahead and build the extra docks, to go ahead and add in a lot more vehicles, which we've had to do, we've had to go ahead and really do that. We are seeing a lot of people waiting around in Brunei and also Sudan, which is unfortunate. I do feel pretty much now that the new vehicles have taken capacity, so there's not really much slack, unfortunately. It's quite amazing to see, for example, this boat between Brunei and Egglesey is already full. There's 59 people waiting. Someone did suggest that I connect up Sudan to Egglesey as well. I can't remember who that is, I do apologise, but I think we might have to do that sooner rather than later. The reason I didn't want to do that right now is just because that'll cost, what, 250,000 for a dock and then 250,000 for a boat, but the amount of people trying to go between Brunei and Sudan is causing me some issues, and to resolve that, then we can go ahead and get passengers to go another way, which I think logically we could do here. So let's go ahead and investigate that before we go ahead and work on anything else. If we go ahead and borrow, I can only borrow up to 30 million, which is alarming because we're going through this money at quite a rate. What I may do one day is just let basically the game run, and I think that's what I might need to do, especially when we get a lot more profitable routes, which we'll check out in a second. What I'm wanting to do is something like that here. Though that's not going to allow me, just again because there's that drop down to the coast. Logically, what I would like to do is place the dock. Well, I mean, yes, here. But maybe actually over here, coming to think of it, so it's the north side of the town. That means you'd have to go through the town to get down to Sudan though. I'm not in navigable waters, I'm pretty sure I basically am here though. Right, there we have it, so we managed to slide that in there for 250,000. The next problem will be those building the connecting road up to the street. That's going to cost me quite a bit of money. We're going to go for it though, and that means then they can use this bus stop here, Queen's Road, and then this bus stop here, George Street, to get access to the docks, which is okay. Now what we're going to do, instead of going ahead and building a new shipyard, we can just make use of the old one. We're going to go for... We're still going to go for the riggy because it's cheaper, but also it is... I do think that the capacity, especially on the current route right now we've got going from Brunei to Egglesey, I think that will drop a little bit because logically the amount of people waiting here, we should go ahead and upgrade, but I think it's going to spread out the passengers, or that's my hope at least, so we won't have too many issues with capacity going forward. I think there will be still obviously natural progression as we get more people onto the map. There'll be increased demand, but that'll happen naturally over time. It shouldn't be instant anyway. So let's go ahead and quickly name this. And there we have our new route in a faint yellow. It's going to start to get quite difficult now for me to update a lot of the maps because as time goes on, the maps, and especially the colours of the lines as well, they're going to get a lot more complex, things are going to be overlapping, so... But I really do enjoy doing it actually, and I hope it really gives a good visualisation of what's going on in the series. Anyway, that's done now. We don't have to make any changes up here in Sudan or in Egglesey either, so we can actually just leave that and see if that starts to get rid of some of this demand. There is so much demand here, but I'm not going to put more buses on it. I just need to wait for an increased capacity bus, which then, yes, does beg the question, should I be using mods? I could be using mods, but the thing is, we're in 1911, so we're not exactly going to get a really large passenger vehicle anyway, to be honest. I think we just need to wait until we really get an upgrade, which hopefully that won't take too long. Just want to double check here, we're using different sides of the terminal. Oh, that is awesome, so I can now fly away. Let's go ahead and connect up these two towns, because this is really what I want to work on, getting these two islands essentially connected. Kettletoft and Braeswick. If we very quickly look at the towns themselves and population, we can see that, so Kirkwall's still the biggest, not surprised at that one, that is the capital of the Orkney Islands. Then you've got Bruneian and Surin, which I can understand why those are so popular. Then we've got Whitehall, then Wyre, then Grobister. So Grobister and Whitehall are definitely doing quite well, and then after that it goes Egglesey and then Braeswick and Kettletoft. So there might be a bit of one-way traffic, probably people coming from Grobister and Whitehall up to Braeswick and Kettletoft, but there is still a demand for that route, and I think that is why I went ahead and built some docks. The good thing is both these towns are pretty much on the coast. I really don't need to modify the bus routes either, which is another big win. The only thing I might have to do here is build an additional shipyard, because I do feel that we're a bit too far away from the old one. So I'll very quickly name this route and build a shipyard. And there we go. So I've gone ahead and placed a shipyard in quite a open space, so it can go ahead and serve any new routes that we go ahead and add in for some of the goods, which I'm sure we will do at some point in the next few episodes. Let's go ahead and buy the ship though. Again, we're going to stick with the Rigi, and then we're going to go ahead and throw it onto our local routes here, Braeswick to Whitehall. We'll come back to that later in the episode and see how it's doing. While we're looking at different diagrams and different charts, I just want to double check and see how we're doing here. So you can already tell that just generally most passenger buses are full anyway. Egglesey is seeming quite empty actually, a lot of these buses, coming to look at it. That's quite strange. Let's actually change the view of this, and let's actually go to the routes and see how we're doing on every individual route, profit and loss wise. So it looks like the boat from Brinnan to Egglesey is doing the best, that's awesome. Crude oil as well is doing very good. Our fuel routes are in the profit. Then we've got quite a mixed fleet, which is quite surprising, because I'm seeing the Bruneian to Wyre boat route, it's near enough full, but it's making us a loss, which is disappointing, though I can imagine that fluctuates quite a bit. Our bus route around Egglesey is doing awful though. This is really not good. Let's go over to it and just see how things are doing. And is it because we don't actually need that many buses on this route? Is it because it's a circle? Because circles don't tend to work very well, from what I can remember previously. So I think that's what we might do. We might go ahead and alter this route, because I do need it to be profitable. I need everything to be profitable at this stage, and especially it's losing 14,000, which is a lot of money. I'm actually thinking though that it must have a mixture of vehicles as well, which isn't very good. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to send a few of these vehicles back to the depot for now, and then we'll leave it, and if it is still worse then we'll go ahead and change up the route itself. So we've left 5 vehicles on there, which gives us I think 38 seats in total on there, so we'll leave that, and hopefully we can now start to see a bit of demand between Egglesey and Surin, which is awesome as well. Why is there 2 boats? Yeah, okay, right, I get it. So, and then we should hopefully start to see demand build up there as well. So we got 7 people, which is a win-win. Finally, before we run away, how's the oil and fuel getting on? There's a lot of fuel to be moved, which is good. Really can't complain at that. What we'll do is we'll add in, I just need a better freight vehicle, as I said in the time lapse. I'm going to add 2 extra in for Grobister, and then we'll also add 2 extra in for Whitehall as well. The rate is at 130, which isn't even that high, and then we've also got a... You surely must have upgraded before, but probably downgraded because we weren't moving stuff quick enough. So again, what I can literally do... You can see the amount of vehicles on this road. It is crazy, isn't it? I'm maybe going to add actually another 2 vehicles on to the crude oil itself. I just can't wait until we get a higher capacity vehicle. The only one thing that may be an issue though is when we actually go to replace all those vehicles, it could be very, very expensive. Anyways, let's fly over to the mainland and see our biggest town. So Kirkwall, as you can see, it's already very much in a set grid pattern, which is good, up at a 463 population. But we're going to bypass that and we're going to continue down here to the south and see what we can do, because I said I'd start to focus and build some roads in between some of these towns. So Longhope looks like a relatively small town, but 120 starting population isn't bad. Lyoness looks even smaller at 92, and then so does Rackwick as well, actually at 90. So what I really want to do is kind of join these towns up, though as you can see this is really going to be my logistical nightmare. I don't think I want to go up and over, I think I really want to go round, but that bus route will not be profitable. There's too long a distance between those two towns. There isn't between Longhope and Lyoness, but the problem is I can't build a bridge between these two. Just based on my rules in episode 1, I said I'd only allow bridges where bridges exist in real life. And I think that should still stand, so unfortunately I'm going to have to go around it, which is unfortunate. So let's speed this part up. So exciting news, as we can see at the top, we have unlocked a new vehicle, the Benz truck, and the Benz truck is definitely what I was literally just talking about. Imagine the timing of that. We've just ticked over into 1912, so we're going to jump back up here because let's go ahead and have a quick look at the characteristics of this vehicle. So it can carry 8 capacity, which is just a much needed upgrade. The good thing is 25 miles an hour V16, so we can get up to 25, which is good as well. Now, that's only track speed limit. It would be really nice if the overlay showed roads. Currently, I believe we're on medium street, which is, I'm still building the wrong kind of road. I should be building country roads, which I have just realised, and someone did point that out as well, actually, my blunder. But I'm just so used to building in towns that it kind of makes sense, but at the same time it costs a lot more, so I really need to stop doing that. But what we're going to do is, on most of these routes, which are now going to become so profitable, we're going to need to go and do some replacements, and this is going to cost me a lot of money here. I can imagine, I'm going to guess about 400,000. So okay, so that's 270,000, so that isn't as bad. This route here is going to cost me at least 4, if not 500,000, just because the amount of vehicles on this. Oh, we're gonna do it. We're gonna have to get another loan out this episode. Absolutely crazy. And then if we do the same here with the final town route, do we have enough money? We don't. We need to wait. There we go. We now have enough money. So down at 6k, which is not a lot. So that's a worry. But I'm really now expecting a massive boost for all of these. Right now, crude oil, we're making 50k on that one, and then the two fuels, we're making around about 25k, so just watch that space, because I think that we're going to be making a lot of money there by the end of the episode. Anyway, let's run all the way back over here to Longhope and Lyoness. We can see we've built a road which is really trying to follow good topology. As you can see, it's a bit hilly over here, so I've run it around the coast and also quite close to the industry. Again, we've got another oil refinery here, so what we would need is to just get some crude oil in, which is crude oil over on this island here. It's actually part of Lyoness supposedly, so that could be quite an easy connection to make, and that would actually be a really good starting point for down here as well. We've also got another oil refinery in the middle, but just based on the topology, you know, it's really hilly here, and I don't think we'll ever really use that unless, I guess, we exceed capacity here at our one closer to Lyoness. Anyway, I've already gone ahead and built the wonderful bus stops. Let's go ahead and connect these up. Longhope is laid out in a really nice way because it's already sort of in a circle, whereas I've had to go ahead and modify the town of Longhope here a little, just to add in some extra roads, give us that circle sort of idea. So we come back in here, And then if we run around and like that, that's perfect. So Long Hope and the town of Lyoness. Sorry, I must have got that a bit wrong there. Let's go ahead and delete that bus stop. For some reason that's not joined up with the bus stop across the roads. I can't even delete it because I don't have enough money. That's bad, right? Let's borrow an extra 2 million, which, oh my words, we are, because that's me gone through half my money already. That's the difficulty of hard mode. It is just a real struggle. What we're going to do now though is we're going to build a vehicle depot. We're going to build it out in the country here, just right in between, to go ahead and try get this route on the go as soon as possible. We quickly rotate this around and buy some of our post-bus vehicles. How many are we going to start with? I think we'll start off with 6, which is quite a low number, and we'll go ahead and just monitor it and increase it as time goes on. Again, just try to save a little bit of money. So about 2 years has passed and things are looking very good. I've spent a tiny bit of money, I just needed to sort of raise a bit of capital. Have we raised capital? We actually have, but we have gone ahead and made a few adjustments. So first of all, here on the island of Weir, its bus route wasn't doing great. It now has been adapted quite a bit, and I'm going to go ahead and also add on 2 new buses onto there as well, just because we had some of the older buses and I decided to send them back to the depot. So I've gone for a bit more, instead of a circle, which circles never really work too well with bus routes, I've gone for a bit more of a point to point now, with small circles at the end, and also connected up this part of the town over here which was previously not connected. This should hopefully go ahead and really make this route profitable, and it's already starting to head that way, which is good. We also made a tiny change as well over here at Egglesey. As we can see now, we have sort of a point to point instead of a perfect circle, and this should hopefully mean now that this stops being as negative as it is. It's down to 5k negativity now, so it's really just hoping to break that, and we're going to add in an extra vehicle. Again, I realise I've just removed quite a few, but that was of the old kind. So with the money we've got now, there is still just way too much going on over here in Bruneian. There is just too many people. I can't, and unfortunately I don't have any more new buses, but we do have a new ship which appeared, and it is this Schaffhausen, I believe it's pronounced, and this has got a capacity of 100. Now 100 is probably a bit too much out of my scope right now. I don't think we need it, but we do need to upgrade some of the boats. As we can see here, the boat from Bruneian to Wyre is doing okay, but it's this boat here. It's the boat from Bruneian to Egglesey. We've got 25 people waiting there. We've got a full ship, and then we've got 65 people waiting there. So this boat I do want to upgrade to 100 people, because I do think that would be worth it. So if we very quickly jump in and jump into the routes, we go to replacements. We replace this with a Schaffhausen. Let's do it. That's going to cost me only 400k, which really isn't bad considering we're getting to double the capacity. Now, the big thing is this goes an extra 2 miles per hour faster, which right now it does not look like it is, but slowly but surely, hopefully, that will really start to come to tuition. Now, we're up to 18 people travelling between Egglesey and Surin as well, which is good. I'm still seeing the buses again very busy here, like 40 people waiting at that alone. Really gives me the impression I should build a railway line between these two, but please give me your opinions, because if it was to be a railway line between the two, I do think then we'd have to have internal bus routes in with these towns anyway, like we have on Egglesey and on Wyre. We jump away from here though and go back over to our oil and fuel situation. We can see that there's really nowhere near as much crude oil waiting. We can see production's up at 218. At the start of this episode when we checked it was at 100, so that's gone leaps and bounds. And then similar over here as well, oil refinery has broken the 200 mark and has already got now a limit of extended up to 400. We can see that vehicles are, I mean we are on ×3, but the vehicles generally are moving faster even though the roads are busier. But the big thing is, we can see in this view here we've basically doubled everything. Our field routes into Whitehall and Grobister, they were down at about 25k, they've over doubled up to around about coming up for 60k, and then we've got the crude oil itself, that's on 105k, that is phenomenal, and that will continue to grow. That's really where we're making a lot of our money right now. If we do turn our attention back over here to the boat though, it's really not kicked off the way I wanted it to, and I'm quite disappointed with that. Why is that? Well, I think it could be partially because people are struggling to move around this island here, so we're going to go ahead and spend a little bit of time on that. Whitehall, generally the bus situation here, it's not too bad. I can't exactly get a bus stop any closer, so I don't really think that's too much of the issue, but I don't expect as many people to be going from this island over to the island which contains Breswick and Kettle Toft. I think it'll be more the other way, just because the population on Whitehall and Grobister is bigger, which is possibly down to us providing goods there as well. What I'll very quickly do is we're going to go ahead and modify the route and increase capacity. How is this bus route doing first of all? So this is the one in grey, so all in all, it's doing not too bad. It's in the profit, so I don't really want to change the routing too much. The one thing I do want to do though is go ahead and upgrade the current vehicles to post buses, so that's cost me another 200k or so. Then let's also add in a few more buses as well, just to go ahead and help with the capacity. Final thing I do want to do is go ahead and modify this and bring it a bit down closer to the harbour, which we can do quite easily. So we add in an extra stop in there, then we come back into here. After stop number 10, if we come down to the waterfront, the Grove, and then go back up to Chester Road. And that is just such a small change, but it could make a massive fundamental difference. And Kettle Toft, yeah, I think we're actually going to add in a few more buses just because we've got quite a lot of people waiting, so we might as well try and get them moving and on the go. Final thing we're going to do before we wrap this episode up is we're going to fly all the way down to the Southern Orkney Islands, and we have some people moving, which is good to see. Happy about that. I can't imagine, I mean that bus is full actually, so that bus is pretty full. That bus is quite full. That bus is, I mean this is good. This is, I'm surprised at this honestly. You're already full, so looks like we're already ready for capacity upgrade. Now, this route should be quite profitable because it's distance. It's quite a long distance. Right now the 5 minutes is very slow, isn't it? Let's flood this then. I can't flood it because I don't have enough money. We have just ticked into 1915 though, so I can understand why we don't have a lot of cash. Usually when you tick over every year, stuff like loan payments come out, which obviously we're taking quite a big loan, so right now our loan interest's up at 365k, which is, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money considering that our most profitable route's the crude oil. That is at what, maybe 123k now, so yeah, it's really eating at us quite badly, hence why we need to continue to work on our previous routes before expanding new ones. I just need to see more profit on the boats. The good thing is our large Brunei to Egglesey, which can carry up to 100 people, it's now, it's bringing us 51k. It's not very full though, which is quite surprising. But yeah, Breswick to Whitehall, that really needs to get into the profit. Egglesey to Surin, that could also be just getting profitable a lot more quicker. It's up to 31 people though, so I can't complain. But anyway, back to the task at hand here. Let's go ahead and wait till we get a bit of cash, to be honest, which isn't a lot. I don't think we're actually even going to get enough this month. So it's the first few months we just seem to be in the negative, so that's unfortunate. We might not break a profit maybe till about, well, we're in June already, so this is a worry. We might already be spending way too much money, and I'm worried. I'm really worried. Let's get these buses out onto the route anyway. That should decrease the time down to 3 minutes, which still isn't great, but I do reckon that this bus route will be profitable and really successful very, very quickly. That brings us to the end of episode number 3 of the Orkney Islands. I hope you have enjoyed it. Been quite a mixed episode, I guess you could say. We've gone ahead and achieved a fair amount in terms of building new routes. We connected up the towns of Breswick and Whitehall with a boat. We've also started work in the South Orkney Islands. Probably not as much as I wanted to, but we'll come back to that in the next episode, because we're going to, I think, connect up the crude oil to the fuel or oil refinery to make fuel down in that part of the world, to get some industry going there as well, because we know right now the industry is doing quite well up where we're focusing on in the Northern Orkney Isles. Outside of that, it was mainly capacity upgrades and also changing a few bus routes as well in this episode, which is good. In the next episode, I think I'm going to bring in a new mod. I'm not at all sure if we're going to get to 1923, but I'm going to bring in a bus at 1923 because we are just really struggling in terms of capacity on buses. It is being used quite a lot right now, and just because I've not got buses which have got a great capacity, it's really limiting me, so I'm going to go ahead and introduce 1 or 2 more buses in. The reason for that is because the vanilla game, you only unlock a new bus every about 15 to 20 years at this point, which just isn't quick enough. I am happy with the progress of some of the towns though. As we can see, the towns are really developing, they are getting much larger, and we've sort of actually seen that through adapting some of our bus routes. The big thing I want to draw your attention to is the balance sheet, and the balance sheet is, to say the least, it's not pretty. As we can see, crude oil is doing well, we're seeing our fuel routes doing very well, hence I want to bring that to the Southern Orkney Isles. We've also got some of our bus routes doing quite well, the Brunei to Sudan and also Grobister to Whitehall. Those are basically full, again another reason why I want to bring in an additional bus with a higher capacity sooner. We've also got our boats, they're really quite mixed to be honest. But we've got some routes there which are just losing us too much money. We also have to consider that we have a loan repayment of about 345k a year, which really isn't good either, so we are not doing well for cash at all. We, ladies and gentlemen, are in a financial crisis, and that is what I will deal with in the next episode. We're already halfway through the amount of loan that we can take, and there is no end in sight because we're going to have to continue to spend, but we're going to have to do it much more smarter than we have been doing before, and only invest in infrastructure and vehicles that are actually going to give us a good return, not just a normal, easy return. I hope you can join me for that episode, which will be released on Friday. That's all for this episode. Please leave a like rating and subscribe if you are new around here. Go ahead and leave a comment, give me some more feedback, and it might be included in the next episode. Also check out the description, there is links to my Twitter, my Discord and my Patreon. Again, a massive thank you to Nicole H for supporting me over there. Any support on any of those platforms does greatly improve my channel and its growth. That's all for this video, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Bigfoot and I'm out.